Hi guys, welcome back to the Building You podcast. Yeah, you guys already know the vibes. This is the Building You podcast where we talk all things personal development. I'm super excited. This is the first ever visual podcast, which I'm so excited about, and you can see that we do have a special guest. But before we actually introduce who he is, let me just give you a brief on what Building You podcast is. If this is your first time listening to the Building You podcast, hello. And if this is your second time, third time, you are family. We are family. So you are literally here and you're going to have a good time. And this podcast is all things personal development. We talk about building you, right? We talk about the fact that before you can build that empire, you need to build you. Before you can reach, the greatest height, it's not about, achieving great things, it's about actually becoming a great person. So today's episode is actually a sensitive one, but it's deep. It's quite vulnerable. I think I will get quite vulnerable. And I brought my amazing fiancé on here, Sterling Records. And this episode is going to be called I Never Saw Myself Getting Married. And I think this is where I'm going to really delve into the struggles of not necessarily just growing up in a single parent household, growing up with not a dad, and also the fact that I told myself that I want to be a successful black woman in the area of finance, but I never saw myself being a successful black woman in the area of family. And this is just, where I had to bring it in. But I'm going to introduce my amazing fiancé. He probably doesn't know what I'm going to say, but I'm going to say he is honestly the most kind-hearted. I always say that if anyone has an issue with Sterling, they are the problem. Simply because he is honestly, I honestly feel like more people should have issues with me than you, because I wouldn't say I'm the rude one, but I got a mouth on me. I'm a speaker. So whereas he's just the laid back, cool person, he's so clean hearted. He is a TikTok sensation. Literally, he has over 100,000 people. Even today, people stopped us on the road for him. He's a TikToker. People love him. But before I delve into it, and he also does marketing. So he works with brands and different corporations, helping them market, doing scaling for TikToks as well. So if you are a small business or a big business or a corporation that needs help in the area of marketing and TikTok, he is your guy. Babe, welcome to the Building You podcast.
Thank you. I'm the first guest. I feel very privileged.
Yeah, you are the first guest. So obviously relax, be chill. So obviously we just wanted to discuss, and we imagine it's just me. What I wanted to discuss with you is just the fact that, I never saw myself getting married, and just how it also was for someone like you to pursue a woman like me. And what I mean by that is that, obviously I had a lot of things going on for me, even though we've been friends for about 5 years. So I think before we can actually delve into, I guess where we are now, I think let's go back to actually 2016. Let's go back to when you slid into my DMs.
Yeah, the DMs.
You're funny. So I think let's be brutally honest. I think it's important to make things very clear. When you DM'd me, you was in a relationship.
Yes.
You were in a relationship.
It wasn't a thing where I was trying to move to you.
Yeah, you weren't trying to move to me.
I just thought you were cool.
Yeah. So I remember that DM. You slid into my DMs and you was just kind of like, hey, like I really like what you do. And it was really nice. And I had literally just come out of a relationship that maybe one day I'll share about that relationship one day, but I came out of a relationship and I was in that relationship for about 2.5 years, and the breakup it scarred me, the breakup that I had. And I remember you sliding into my DMs just thinking, oh, that's a cool guy, like really supportive and stuff. And I remember us just kicking it off. Like we was really good friends.
Besties.
And I remember we just ended up getting close. Now looking back at it, I think our boundaries were actually quite bad.
Yes.
Our boundaries were bad. I think that, we shared a lot of things quite early on in our friendship. But I could trust you. Like you was an amazing person, amazing friend. Wow. I remember actually the first time I met you, I had a speaking engagement.
And I surprised you.
And you surprised me, yeah. And a few days before my 19th birthday, I remember. So I was 18 when I met you. And I don't know, was you still in a relationship then?
Honestly, I don't know.
Yeah.
But if I was, it wasn't in a good place. It must have been about to end at that point. Yeah.
And I remember when you messaged me saying that you had broken up with your ex-girlfriend at the time. And me just thinking to myself, do I like you? Like I remember just asked myself, like,
just in case.
Actually, do I? And I remember us having a lot of conversations, a lot of intimate conversations going back and forth as to whether we like each other, we should get together.
Every year, once a year.
Once a year, literally.
Once a year.
Every single year from 2016, we've had those hard conversation. Someone would come and say, no, you're not ready, I don't think you should. Or I'd get in a situationship and you was also in another relationship. It's been a crazy time, and I don't think we're going to be able to actually talk about everything in this episode. But I think, you know, when I think about the fact that I remember when you reached out to me, and I remember when you you know, said that you liked me, I ran away. And the reason why I ran away completely. I definitely said no.
You sprinted.
Yeah, I said no. And I think the reason why I said no was simply because of the fact that the idea of marriage for me was very scary. And I think as well, being a Christian, the unfortunate thing is I don't think we really know how to have the conversation of dating in a context of you can date to explore rather than date to marry.
Right.
And when I was young, I had this mentality of whoever I'm going to date, I have to marry them.
Right.
So when you're coming to me the age of 18, 19 years old, saying that you like me, and I'm like, okay, I like you too, but I'm not ready to get married yet. For me, I don't think we actually talk about the process of courting and dating enough.
Yeah.
So I remember it just being like, oh my gosh, like this man wants to be my husband. And I just ran the complete different, because I was not ready to get married.
You just said you need to work on yourself and you weren't ready.
And then literally like a month after I got into another...
After that, then I had to just watch. But it's okay. I'm not hating.
A month after that, I got into another relationship. But hey...
I win in the end, so it's fine.
Do you know what the crazy thing is? I think the crazy thing is that I tried to fill a lot of time, and I used to use situationships to actually numb the fact that I was actually really scared to get married, because a lot of the situationships I entered into, I knew they would not end in marriage, but I still had a lot of insecurities that I needed to be affirmed.
Right.
So at the time, I entertained relationships that I had no business being in.
That's a bit deep.
But it's true.
Yeah.
It's actually really true. And I think fast forward into 2020, I remember the conversation that we had that actually ended up sparked this. Yeah. And I remember us.
We just win.
And I remember us saying to each other that we no longer want to date projects.
Yep.
And I remember just growing up, unfortunately, that's actually what I entertained. Like a lot of my situationships were projects.
Yeah.
A lot of the people who I'd been out with are unfortunately people who I was trying to fix. And it's not because they were broken. I was broken myself. And because I didn't want to deal with my issues, I would rather pour the time to pour into other people's issues.
Yeah. It make you feel like you're good when you're trying to fix someone else instead of fixing yourself, kind of thing. Yeah. I was the same, which is how we ended up in this place.
Yeah. We weren't trying to fix each other though. I think that was the first time when we actually said, I remember the conversation we had where we were just kind of like, we're good people and we actually deserve a good relationship. Yeah. And I remember we were trying to hyping up each other. And then I remember in my head thinking like, you're a good man. Like, should I really get with him? But also there was a part of me that thought I didn't deserve you. And that's why I ran away from you for about 4 years. That's why I ran away from you for about 4 years, because there was a part of me that felt I don't deserve love. You know, when you grow up, especially with me, and I've shared this with you plenty of times, you know, growing up, I didn't think I was a pretty friend. I didn't think I was a pretty girl. Reason being, there'd been times that I had gone out with friends and guys would move to all my friends on road and they would never move to me. I was always the girl that was pushed aside. So I remember making this internal vow to myself that, okay, if I'm not going to be the girl who's the prettiest in the room, I'm going to be the girl that has the most money. So I'm going to be...
Say, before you go any further, just so the viewers know.
Yes.
Every time I take you anywhere, how many compliments do you get about how beautiful you are? Just tell them.
Yeah, people.
Well, at least like 5, maybe.
They'd be coming up to me. Yeah.
At least.
Yeah.
Right? Just so the viewers know. Just so they know. Because some of them, maybe they're listening to this, they can't see you right now. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I just want them to know.
You're so sweet. And I remember actually, sorry, where was I? I like back and forth.
You didn't feel pretty.
Yeah. I didn't feel like I was good enough. So I remember putting so much identity in the area of my business in terms of me being that international award-winning speaker, me traveling around the world, making moves. I remember finding so much identity in being the powerful Black woman that I remember the idea of being a powerful Black wife and being a powerful Black mother as well literally was an area that I did not feed. Yeah. And I always say there's 2 women that I actually would say helped me a lot. One being a personal mentor of mine, Nicola Raimi, just seeing how I saw her navigate, you know, those in personal who we both know. Yeah. And another one is more of a distant mentor, but someone I know as well, Patrice Washington. 2 of them helped me in different areas, but then I've also got close friends like Nissy T, who I literally saw blossom into wifehood. And, you know, I literally was one of her bridesmaids, and just seeing her go through that process. And she was the first person that I literally sat down with and actually said, Nissy, I actually think I want to get into a relationship. Like, I actually think that I actually want to get married one day. And I remember having that conversation with her, and her turning to me like, oh my gosh, Hayley, like, really? Because I remember any single time anyone used to speak about relationships, I never used to reply. Simply because I remember there was a time with a lot of the friends that I had, they'll be talking about marriage and wedding days. And I'll be in my head thinking, yo, let's make money. Like, let's not talk about man. Let's talk about money. Let's get the bag, girls. And I remember just making a vow to myself that I was going to be the bridesmaid for so many different girls before I walked down the aisle myself.
And people agreed with you at the time. They said you're probably going to be the last one.
It's crazy. And it's crazy because, you know, these are conversations that only I've really shared with you, that in, you know, conversations that I wouldn't share publicly, about so many voices that affirmed that I was going to be the powerful black woman, but I didn't have the voices that affirmed that I was going to be a good wife. I had conversations with previous mentors in the past that actually came and said they don't know what type of man is going to be able to handle me. And you can only imagine how scary that is. That, you know, I'm being affirmed in one area, but another area is literally being neglected. It's like, of course, there's a part of me that would love to be a mother one day, but you're also kind of telling me, oh, you're going to be maybe a mother one day, but you probably won't have a man that's going to stay around to father your child.
Right.
And growing up as a single parent in a single parent household with no dads.
Yeah. I think it's difficult because, of course, there's this narrative, that this strong black woman narrative, which is like painted as unattractive to a man. Like, this woman who's independent isn't going to listen to no one. So no man would want her, because if he tries to say something to her, she's just going to rebel type thing. And I think the reality is that's probably not true. There's only a small percentage of women that are actually business-minded go-getters who actually are rebellious in a sense. A lot of women actually want to partner with a guy, and they just want to find the right guy who's not going to make them feel small. And I think that was one of the things I promised myself being with you, is that I never wanted to limit what you were doing. I always wanted to be a voice that could open you up to more opportunities, instead of being what a lot of women speak about, which is that if I get with a man, he's going to put me under. He's going to stick me in the house. When there's an empire to build out there, but he's going to force me to be inside. I never wanted to be that for you. I wanted it to be that it's possible to be both.
And, you know, one thing I'm so grateful for is not even just how much you support me publicly, but actually support me privately. Like, there is I remember you sent something on Twitter today, and I actually think it's so true. It says, this is why you only gossip with your boyfriend. It's actually true. Like, you actually know everything. You know all my secrets. Like, you know everything that's going on in my life. Like, if I have an opinion, you're the first person that's going to hear about it. Like, I'm telling you right now that, honestly, if you're to gossip, just gossip with your fiancé or gossip with your boyfriend or your husband, because you know it's going to stay there. Like, at least there's certain things that I just said to you, I just know it's not going to go anywhere, because it's just you, and vice versa. There's certain things that you said to me that I know it's not going to go anywhere. But also, I feel like in this time as well, it's being able to also learn how to be a team, because this is why, the reason why I never saw myself getting married is because I've been independent all my life. Even though I have an amazing older brother, we're 9 years apart. So there was still a lot of independence in my house. And then also on top of that, my mum was working full time. So there's a lot of things that I learned to do by myself, right? And I think now it got to this point where I remember when we first got together, I had to learn teamwork like crazy, because I was so independent. I was so used to just going out, like just be like, oh yeah, I'm going out somewhere. Whereas now we have a shared calendar. And it's not even about, oh, we have a shared calendar. I would tell you about a decision that before I met, I was like, oh yeah, I'm thinking about going out, So even involving you in my day, that was crazy. That was hard. And we got together in the midst of a pandemic, right at the beginning of the pandemic, actually. That is when we got together. So we didn't even physically meet for about for a few months.
It was Zoom dates for a while.
We were doing like a lot of Zoom dates and FaceTime dates. And I feel like I haven't really told literally the fullness of our story. I don't know if this should be like a separate YouTube video or podcast episode, but I think what I really wanted to delve into was just how hard it is sometimes being able to build an empire as a black woman, and still feeling that I don't want to say escapism, but the successful route is always going to be finance and business. But I don't feel there's enough models or enough paths that affirm us that there's success as well, being a successful wife and mother that's why when I came across Patrice, you know, and I'm gonna send her this podcast episode, and hopefully she will listen to it. I think she probably would if I beg her to. I remember when I first came across Patrice and I saw this woman's doing everything that I'm doing. Biggest Girl, working with Steve Harvey, you know, having her own podcast. She just literally hit 10 million downloads on her podcast. Shout out Patrice Washington. And, you know, and then, you know, kind of going through her thing. And then I remember the post that I saw that she was married. I was like, wait, this woman's married? And then kept going down and I saw she had a daughter. I thought, whoa, this woman has a daughter. And then obviously, you know, you've read her book and I listened to her podcast. So hearing more about her life story and her journey and how she's even had to navigate that. It's like just this liberation. I remember listening to certain podcast episodes and actually crying because it's like, wow, this woman is speaking to a pain in me that I didn't even know I had. I didn't even know that I hadn't dealt with. And it's only until, you know, we got together and I remember when you told me, it's like, Hayley, I want to marry you. I don't even know what I said. I think I just said, what? Like, Because all the relationships and situations that I had before,
there was none of that.
Boy, if I was to come and talk about some of the situationships, like some of the things I was saying, like, it's not even about, it's just the narrative of, I don't know what this is, or when you're so used to, I don't know what this is, or no, I think we should slow down, or I'm not ready for a relationship. Oh gosh, if I can come and tell you, you was very straight up with it.
I was very intentional from the moment we started. Like, I went to the people that needed to be told.
Yeah, and we didn't tell anyone that we was together for like 4 months. We went public for a while.
I mean, because we were besties, like because I was your friend, your heart was very important to me. So it wasn't a case where I could. Previously, I had some relationships that weren't that great on either side, but your heart was too valuable for me to just go in and not be very intentional. So I had to go to the people I thought would know best on how to pursue you so that I could make sure I got it right. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's a really important point for any guy who's pursuing someone who's building an empire. Be very intentional. Don't waste their time. They're building an empire. And it's not that they don't want to partner with you. It's just that they need to see the seriousness in your face about what you want to build with them, you know?
And it's crazy because I think a lot of people would assume, because of the fact that I'm a speaker and because of what I do, they might assume that I'm stubborn. I am kind of stubborn, but I'm stubborn. I'm stubborn because I think I'm the youngest. It's not because of the fact that I'm stubborn at nature. When you're the youngest child, you will become when you got the youngest child syndrome. Just sometimes you just want to rebel and you want to prove your point. And I was even watching something on TikTok about how different siblings apologize. So there's the older sibling that will come and say, I'm really sorry that really hurt you. Then the middle sibling is kind of like, I'm sorry. And then the younger sibling is like, I'm sorry I hurt you then. Like we've got something about us. But I remember having a conversation with somebody who was actually wondering as to how the dynamic works with me and you in terms of the fact that, I'm speaking, I'm public. And I remember you was quite the behind the scenes guy.
Yeah.
And then in the pandemic, you blew. You got way more followers than me. And it's not even in a comparison thing, but it's the fact that it was now seeing you come to the forefront and people were able to see you. And for me, it was kind of like, this is who he is. Like, this is who I've been seeing for years behind the scene. And I think it was just so beautiful for the world to see who you are as well. And I think it was just a narrative of, I think a lot of people assume that maybe the type of character that I am, I may be outspoken in my, like, there's been so many conversations I had with people would assume that I'm outspoken with you, or that
it's based on assumptions, or it's based on a version of you that doesn't exist anymore,
or it's based on insecurities or projections
that they have as well.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there was a time, maybe when you were like 18, that you were more like how they're describing.
Yeah, 100%.
But they forget that, some of these people, because I know some of them,
yeah,
you ain't really been that close to in the last few years. They don't know how you've grown.
Yeah.
They don't know how you changed. They don't realize that 2018 you or whatever doesn't exist.
And I think that's why I'm calling this podcast that I never wanted to get married. Not that I don't want to get married. it's the fact that it's past tense. Because now that I've understood what love is, and I think what I mean by love is very transactional. I think, unfortunately, growing up, I gave a lot of love and I never received it. So I even find it hard, and you know this, I find it really hard to receive. I find it hard to receive compliments. I find it hard to receive gifts. I find it hard to receive from you, from people.
You deflect.
Yeah, I deflect all the time, simply because of the fact that I'm the giver, and I've always been the giver. And I think when that's always been the narrative, unfortunately, because in society, there has been this model that Black women give. We give and we sacrifice, and we give to the extent that we don't have anything in us. And that was the model that I unfortunately followed. As much as I love my mum was a hard worker, but I saw my mum give, sacrifice when she literally didn't have much, right? And I think there's many of us that, you know, similar with your mum as well, like all of us with single parent households, give everything. And it's beautiful that we were raised by these type of women, and it's beautiful that we were raised by the women who poured into us and poured into so many different people. But I think it's also, when that's all you've seen, you start to think, okay, I'm going to navigate life through the idea of the only person that is going to give to me is me or God. There's not going to be anybody else. So when you came into the picture and you started pouring into me, I was like, whoa, so this is what love is, like a teamwork. It's a buddy. It's someone that you can lean on, literally, where the Bible comes and says that when one is weak, another can be strong. You know, and even in terms of our courtship is very different. You know, a lot of people don't know that we've never kissed before. And, you know, some people get shocked like, oh my gosh, you know, I remember when I told my friends that I haven't kissed you before. What? Especially, like, what? And I remember some of them were like, Hayley, like, come on, like, what? Like, are you being serious? Then I remember when I was telling my friends that we're celibate. I remember when I was, let me not even talk about some people that, you know, there's even some, you know, it's not a judgmental thing or anything, because everyone has different faiths and different beliefs. But I think I was quite shocked when I was speaking to other Christians and I said I was celibate and they were shocked. I was just like, you know, when you're just like, wait.
But you know what? Discipline is hard. That's the reality of
it.
It
definitely is
hard. And it's harder. It's easier. It's so much easier to say than it is to really do, especially over a long period of time. But, you know, we're both on the same page.
And I think, you know, one of the things that I've learned in this time is the idea of the fact that when I think about a lot of the girls that I mentor as well, because, you know, that I've got a lot of young girls that I mentor, and the fact that a lot of them come from the same family model that I did, you know, the single parent household, come from the strong, independent Black women, or not even Black women, because I don't just mentor Black girls, you know, whether it's white women, Asian women. When you're coming from families that don't embody nuclear family, happy marriages. And the unfortunate thing is that I know people that actually have their mum and dad and they don't have happy marriages. Right? When that is the narrative you see more than happy marriages, of course you're going to feel marriage is not for me and marriage is not what I want to pursue. And I remember kind of saying to myself, and I was having this conversation with a friend quite recently, and I remember us saying that if we want the narrative to change, we actually have to change the narrative.
We have to be the change.
We have to be the change, and it has to first start with us. And I think, you know, I'm going to ask you questions because we're literally got like 10 minutes. I feel like I've been rambling on. Thank you so much, babe. I was going to say because
it's good.
I feel I've been speaking, but I think the question that I have for you in terms of like marriage, especially, you had the complete opposite. Like you actually wanted to be married, even growing up in a single parent household. Like how was and what made you even decide to like pursue marriage, especially so young? Because you're young. Like, I mean, you're older than me, but you're young. Like, I feel
relationships were quite long.
You're the first one that's getting married amongst your friendship group. Whereas I'm not. I'm the second. Like, if in terms of Nissi, I'm actually the second. So it's like you're really leading the path.
I think for me, I didn't want anyone to experience what I went through. I saw how hard my mum worked. I knew if there was a man there, she wouldn't have to work as hard. I knew if there was a man there, I would get to see her more because she wouldn't have to be getting home at midnight. I knew if there was a man there would have been someone to teach me how to shave. I knew if there was do you know what I mean? I felt the absence of a man. And so from very young, I guess I vowed that I needed to become whatever type of person I could that could fill this space for the next me, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And I've just been working on anything that needs to be worked on to be able to do that. I remember being like 15 and watching like shows on how to have a good marriage. And I wasn't even, like, I don't know. I just saw pain, and I thought the only way to fix the pain for generations to come is to fix it in myself. So I just wanted to be a good guy.
And I feel like one of the things that, you know, we done at the beginning of our relationship and something we prioritize quite a lot is healing. Mm-hmm. Like the fact that, you know, I went through therapy, you go through counseling, and you have multiple counseling sessions actually. And same with me in terms of therapy every week. And I think it's the fact that we decided that if we wanted to break the patterns of situationships and relationships that didn't work, we needed to heal.
Yeah. I went straight to my mentor, Dr. Sharon, mm-hmm. right? First thing I said to her, I said, I like this girl. Her name's Hayley. I know I don't know how to do this right, so please help me. That's how I came to her. Because the reality is every relationship I had before didn't work for some reason, probably because of the project thing that we were talking about. And I knew I would fall into the same trap again of either trying to make you a project or just something going wrong if I didn't deal with certain things in me that was attracting me before that to these situationships or these fix it people.
And that's such a good point. I'm sorry to interrupt. What you just said about the fact that there's something in me that's attracting me to that. Like, I think a lot of the times we're always like, God, if I've seen, you know, this little TikTok sounds, it's like, God, if they ain't for me, stop sending them. And then I remember seeing another TikTok that said, no, don't involve my God in this. And it's actually true.
Yeah.
Don't believe that God is going to send you a project. God will never send you a project. God will send you the necessary tools for you to heal so that you can decide as to whether you want to start attracting projects or not. Right. Because I really do believe in the idea of the fact that you attract what you believe.
Right.
And it's not necessarily, you know, that God will bring them. No, you will subconsciously draw yourself to the things you believe in yourself.
Yeah, I think we have to realize...
I think we have
to accept.
Yeah.
That is true.
And broken people are attracted to broken people.
That too. But also that we are actually getting something out of someone else's brokenness. I think we ignore this point and we blame it all on them. Oh, they maybe, they did this. They did that to me. They're crazy. But then most of us knew they were like that or saw signs they were like that from early on, and we stayed there because it was giving us something. Because maybe even though we knew their words weren't true, their words were filling a void that we had that we weren't willing to fill ourselves. Do you know what I mean? Or something along those lines. We're getting something. So even though they're as broken as they are and they're a project as much as they are, we're getting food out of it.
Yeah, it's true. And I think, you know, one of the things that I remember having a conversation with my older brother, because my older brother's been married for a few years now, and I'm so grateful that he led the way. And, you know, it's beautiful that my mom's going to have 2 children by the end of next year.
Yeah.
She's going to have both her children, you know, married off, starting their families and stuff. And shout out mom every single time. And I think one of the things I remember having a conversation with my brother, I remember when I first told him, I was like, hey, like, I'm seeing someone. And he was like, I remember him saying to me, are you dating them because they're just your boyfriend or is whatever, or are you dating him to marry?
Yeah.
And I said, no, I want to marry him. My brother literally came and said, wow, Hayley, you're becoming a woman. Like,
come on.
I remember him literally just saying, wow, like, and I remember him being, my brother's told me he's proud at many different points, but I remember when I brought you home, and I remember him like pulling me to the side and just saying, Hayley, the type of man you brought home says a lot about you, and I'm very proud of you. Like, especially growing up from ends, and especially growing up in, you know, where a lot of situationships I had been in as well were not serious guys, were like, you know, I've had situationships with gangbangers, people who do fraud, all that. Anyways, we'll get into that one day. But I remember just making a decision within myself that as I said, if I wanted to change the narrative, things have to change. Yeah. Like, my desires have to change. And it all first started changing with my healing, like, and stuff like that. And I wanted to do a quick disclaimer as well, because there might be some people listening to this, not every single person, but there might be a few people listening to this and basically saying, we're not even married yet. Like, why are we even sharing this? Or, you know, why we might be oversharing or stuff like that. And I think very similar to what we just said, like, the only reason that we are actually quite public about our relationship is because I don't think that there is enough. I don't want to say examples because I think they're out there. I don't think there's enough content sometimes out there on how to navigate certain situations as, I don't want to say black couples, but young Christian couples.
Yeah.
Like, especially our dynamic's quite different, you know, in terms of the fact that, you know, I doing public speaking, corporations, stuff like that. And then you're doing content. So you're like in complete different spheres as well. And then it's also a narrative where we're kind of both, I don't want to say we're both influencers, but we both have influence in different areas.
Right.
And just the fact that, you know, we come from similar backgrounds, you know, single parent households. And this is like, we're like the first getting married, like in terms of we're both come from single parent households and about to get married.
Yeah, there's even as you when you started sharing stuff, maybe the first post you did or the first time you put me on your story or whatever, you know, I remember how many DMs you would get from different girls like, wow, Hayley, you've given me hope.
Yeah.
You know, to love or to find someone.
And these are the DMs that I don't even publicly share. Like a lot of women till this day come and say, wow, like you actually make me believe that I can get married. And oh my gosh, I would have never known that. The best way I can say is I understand because I saw that with Patrice. I saw that with Patrice. Like I remember seeing what Patrice does and I was like, what? Even Nissy, my God, I cried. When I saw Nissy get married, I remember crying so much in that church because I thought to myself, wow, like, this is my friend. Like, shout out Ben as well. Yeah, shout out Ben as well. Like, I think maybe we should just bring them on like a four-man episode and stuff like that because they're family. But, you know, just seeing her get married and even having certain conversations with Ben. Ben's like my big brother. I definitely say, like, he patterns me and he shouts at me too. Like, when me and Nissy are up to no good, he'll be like, what are you guys doing? Like, literally, me and Ben, we fight and he gets onto me. Even when it comes to the wedding stuff, you know, you literally saw me having a little tussle with Ben because it was stressing me out. And I got to Ben, I was like, Ben, you don't understand. And they're literally family. For Ben to get that from me, I see him as my brother because I don't really, he saw the real me when I get angry, and Nissy sees that as well. And I just want to say I'm so grateful to them for modeling. And I remember when, you know, watching their relationship, they're quite open as well. They speak a lot about things. And I remember even having this conversation with Nissy because I remember when we wanted to go public and I remember speaking to Nissy saying, oh, Nissy, I'm not going to go public maybe before my engagement. Like I remember even having those debates with her. And I remember her saying to me, Hayley, pray about it and see what works for you. And then I remember having a conversation with Dr. Sharon and Dr. Sharon just saying, like, you have to understand that every single relationship is different and God might use your relationship to inspire somebody else to bring healing and hope. Yeah. And this is why I said, I don't want our relationship to be a standard because we're not perfect. We're not. Like, we have our issues and we have the things that we're navigating. But I want our relationship to be a product of God's goodness and his grace and his mercy. That's why I said, don't look.
We have a rule, which is, you know, we're not going to be doing a lot online unless things offline are in a good place. Oh yeah,
people don't know that. Like if me and you are not like speaking terms of stuff, you're not getting reposted on my story.
Yeah.
I don't give a heck. I don't give a heck if your TikTok is blowing. You're not getting reposted on my story. I don't give a heck.
We make sure offline is priority.
Yeah. Like everything you see online is an overflow of everything that's happening offline.
Yeah, 100%.
If me and you are not talking, if we've had a little tiff-taff or whatever, I always say we have a little tiff-taff because I don't feel like we've actually had an argument and I don't think we've allowed ourselves to get to that place. I think there has been one place I'll never forget when we had like our disagreement and I really thought, damn, like, are we breaking up now? Like I'm recalling you crying.
That was
like that was just that was not annoying, child. Not annoying, child. It but that's the reality. The harsh reality is the fact that, you know, in relationships you will have your ups and downs.
Yeah.
But it's a choice as to whether you're gonna allow it to stay down or whether you take it as a learning curve, because even through our conflict we've gotten stronger.
Yeah.
I remember when we first used to
now.
Oh yeah. I remember when we first had our disagreements. My God, it was heated more on my side because
100%. 200%.
Heated more on my side because I'd be the person that would run, you know, straight like.
I mean, like I killed something.
Like
wow.
But I'm not like that anymore anyway.
You've calmed a lot.
I've calmed down.
Chilled a lot.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa.
But it takes time. Yeah, and I don't even. It's crazy because as much as I thought I had structured to this podcast interview, I'd wanted it to be like it's not even an interview, it's a conversation. I think it was more or less like getting. If there's anything that I want people to take away from this podcast episode, especially more on your side, is I want people to actually understand that, you know, healing within yourself allows you to stop settling.
Mm-hmm.
I settled for a lot of BS because I did not deal within myself.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't heal within myself. And as I said, because I found so much identity in being the powerful Black woman and being the powerful, making all the money. And as I said, succeeding in the area of finance, but not succeeding in the area of family.
Yeah.
I ended up doing everything necessary on how to grow my business, but I didn't do anything necessary on how to grow as a person. So now the reason why I do Building You podcast, and the reason why I'm so passionate about personal development is because of the fact that a business is not going to sustain my family when we get married.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, that check is not going to be the reason as to why we're going to get to 25 years of marriage.
Yeah.
Like, finance is great. Don't get me wrong. Like, even planning a wedding right now, like
it helps.
It helps. Trust me. If you want to sponsor our wedding, by the way, please, like, you can DM me. Code.
Yeah.
We are open. Like, you know, if Richard Branson or, you know, Jeff Bezos, if you want to do a little Amazon thing, like, you here, we here. But, on a serious note, if there's anything that I've learned in this engagement period, is the fact that as much as we're putting money down for the wedding, it's also about ensuring that there's money down towards our marriage. Like, I think I'm happy that a lot of the conversation recently has been about wedding, but before we even got engaged, a lot of the conversation was about marriage. And I think it's being able to understand that it's not that I never wanted to have a wedding. It's the idea of the fact that I never wanted to get married. I think a lot of people desire wedding and not a lot of women desire the marriage because they've seen a lot of people get left behind in the marriage.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I've seen even women I personally know who have had to sacrifice everything. And I think that was another fear I had. I'm going to have to sacrifice everything. Like, even I remember having the discussion with you. I remember like last year about the last name thing. I remember coming to you saying, babe, like, would you be okay with me double barreling? And you say no.
That was one thing I was quite serious.
You was quite adamant on it.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking to myself, hello, I have a brand, Hayley Mulenda. You think that I'm not gonna, you know?
Like, even with that one, I wasn't coming at you like every day, like, you need to have my last name type thing. I said what I had to say, and I kind of left it with you to. Oh yeah,
and I prayed about it. Another person that really helped me navigate marriage is Bethel Brown. That's my big sis. Like, Bethel. Shout out Bethel Lamar every single time. The amount of conversations. One time I'll bring Bethel on here because Bethel actually has Marriage Mondays as well. So maybe I will bring her on here. Maybe I don't know if I'm gonna make this a relationship series or whatever. Or this might just be a one-off. But I remember having a conversation with Bethel and saying to Bethel, Sterling's not letting me keep my last name. And she was like, sis, take his last name. And I was like,
Bethel.
I was like, girl, you are meant to be about women empowerment. You are meant to say, sister, go back to your man and say, I'm not having your last name. And I remember Bethel gave me a complete different perspective. I remember her just saying, like, you know what, pray about it. But if you are marrying into a new family, and if you're now come to say, I'm building a new foundation, you now have to be able to let go of the old and basically come and say, I'm building the new. And that's why I came to you early this year and I said to you, babe, I think I want the hashtag to be a new record whenever you want to propose. Because it's so much more than the idea of the fact that, I'm carrying your new name. It's a new record. Literally, it's a new record for us. It's a new chapter. It's a new record for our families. As I said, coming from single parent households and we're about to get married. It's literally a new record. And what I mean by a new record is where in the past in our families and in our friendships where we've seen marriages fail, we can set the new record now. And we can come and say, no, like, marriage does not have to be a prison.
Yeah.
Like, there's some conversations I've had with people, the way they talk about their marriage, I'm just kind of like, okay.
Yeah, don't want that.
Yeah, like, you know what I mean? And I'm so grateful that I've had different conversations with different people who've been widowed, people who've been divorced, people who've been separated, people who have gone through all sorts of trial, you know, marriage and ministry, those who are not even Christian or saved, those who are Muslim and married. I've had the opportunity of just speaking Hindu, like all types of people. And if there's anything that I've taken from it is marriage is what you make it. Marriage is literally what you make it. So, you know, about to round up, and I wanted to ask, is there anything that you wanted to just touch on before, like, we done a little like back and forth like uni?
I'll probably speak to my brothers because I love my brothers.
But by this disclaimer, when he says brothers, he means he's talking to like the men. Like, you got to. Sometimes you got to disclaim. What?
Oh, okay.
Sometimes just disclaim.
Males.
Yeah, speak to the males. The man them.
The man them. Yeah. Don't be afraid of for you, for example, you repelled love. That's the reality of it. At certain points, you had a wall up, and a lot of men will be afraid to pursue someone with a wall up. They want something quick, easy. They want to just get in. They want someone to fall in love with them overnight. Don't be afraid to work for something you really want. That's what I would say, and it's a worthwhile pursuit.
Yeah, I think that whilst you're saying that, I'm thinking about the idea of the fact that you really got with somebody else though, like within the 4 years. So it's like not really because you gave up on the pursuit, didn't you?
No, you're in a relationship. So when someone goes in a relationship and they're off the market,
no, I got into situation. Listen, when I think about my relationship,
goes off the market.
No,
there's nothing you can do.
No,
I'm not a homewrecker.
Hold on a second, sir.
I'm not a homewrecker.
Hold on a second, sir, because if we gonna be honest about this situation, okay, if we're going to be honest about this situation, is that I remember in 2016, I got into a situationship, then I got in a relationship for 2 months. And then I was single throughout 2017. There was like one situationship that took place. Mm-hmm. Then in 2018, I think there was another situationship. Then in 2019, there was 2 situationships. So I never really...
making a lot of numbers here.
There was a lot of situationships, I'll be honest with you.
So they're on my side. The viewers are now on my side.
They're not on your side.
They are.
Anyway, Sha, we're here. We're here. But obviously just to round up, I think...
Let me just say this as well.
Yeah.
This one, I knew was my last opportunity.
Why?
If I did not take this one, I knew that was it.
Why? What do you mean it was your last opportunity?
Certain. I was quite certain.
What do you mean it was your last opportunity?
This one, if this time I did not do everything I could, then I knew you'd be gone. I knew it.
Be gone where, Chair?
I knew it. And as much as there were situationships on your side, different things on my side, blah, 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 we met up at that once a year point again. And I knew when it came, I knew what this was.
Yeah, we had a lot. Do you know the crazy thing is? A lot of the times that we had our once a year conversations about getting together, I was always in Uganda.
Oh.
Like.
I wonder what that means. Motherland. Feeling at home.
Hello, you're so silly. But okay, soon too, baby. But anyways, yeah, it's interesting because I actually remember different moments when I was at my cousin's house and I was speaking to you late. In Uganda, I remember it was always 3 hours ahead. Yeah. And I'll be speaking to you late. I don't know what it was about Uganda that we'd end up just touching base. Maybe because I felt like you always used to reply back to my Ugandan snaps. So whenever I was in Uganda, you reply back, then we end up talking late. Mm-hmm. And then I remember it would always be like a quick catch up and then something just kind of be like talking about us potentially being together.
The thing is, I knew this time, 2020, whatever it was, like, what month was it? March, when the conversation started. Maybe?
What, in terms of when we got together?
No. When we started the conversation in terms of when we had this kind of thing. It's probably like March.
March, yeah.
See, I knew, before you said anything to me, I knew it was that time.
Because I remember I messaged you as a joke and I said, let's pretend to be together for Valentine's Day. And you even said no. And look what happened next Valentine's Day.
Of course I said no.
Anyways, no. I'm cheeky. That was my way of flirting with him.
Of course I said no.
That was my way of trying to shoot his shot.
That kind of, yeah. So from Feb, yeah.
February, I was doing little flirty flirt.
From that, I knew I had to make a decision.
Yeah.
Is it now or is it never?
Yeah. And then we ended up getting together around that time, literally the following month. And I just remember I remember even a lot of people saying to me that I've changed in a good way, that I've gone through a glow, and literally a lot of people always see me glow. We even get stops on the roads. Like we've been stopped quite a few times, which I'm quite surprised about.
Today,
no, but I remember even like the other thing when it was in Oxford Circus already, they've stopped us as well.
Every time,
actually. Yeah, and I think it's really nice to see, especially young women. Like a lot of them have been like either women my age or young women to kind of stop me and be like, I'm so happy for you, like congratulations. Mm-hmm. And I remember even having conversations with like cousins or family members who they even came and said that they had never, wanted to see marriage before. And even like, a family member in a young male in my family member, I won't say who it is, but a young, you probably know who I'm referring to. I remember growing up, he said he never wanted to get married. Then having a recent conversation with him and him saying like, yeah, nah, like seeing you do this, like I actually want to marry my girl. And I was like, wow, like even just having certain conversations with friendships, like it's just certain friends in my circle where I see the conversation or the narrative of marriage has changed because it's me. And the reason why I say it's because it's me, because a lot of my girls know I never wanted to get married. A lot of my people know I never wanted to get married. You know what I mean? And I think, as I said, this relationship is really not a standard, but it's a product of God's goodness, because it's even the fact that I'm even on the way to the altar is God's goodness. Like, ooh, I used to scrap man, you know, like I used to fight man, like, as in, you know, when they used to come and say like, yo, there's some crazy girls out there. Like, I was that crazy girl. Like, I remember one of my ex-situationships that used to always call me and be like, yo, you're moving mad, you know, you're moving mad. Like, we said it on the phone because I actually used to move mad. Like, I was actually a very crazy girl. Oh yeah, 110%. Yeah. You've definitely seen a bit of crazy in me. Little bit. But yeah, I think it's just been, for me, it's a learning curve. I don't know, still trying to navigate what wifehood means to me. I think I'm so grateful for the fact that I have many women around me who are helping me understand what it means to be a wife. Different friends as well. As I said, I've got people like Nissy. There's Ify Alexis, who's amazing. There's just different women who I've been able to see from close, from far. Yeah. To understand, what does wifehood look like? What does marriage look like? What does a healthy marriage look like? Yeah. What does a Christ-centered marriage look like? What does submission look like? And, you know, even I remember the fear of getting into a relationship. I didn't want my relationship to become, now I didn't want to become a relationship blogger. I didn't want now it to basically be like Hayley and Sterling, because we are still two individuals, even though we're about to become one. But I think as I said, I want to be a real model. I'm not trying to be a role model. I'm not trying to be this person that, you know, is trying to be perfect or trying to say I've got it all together. I was even saying on an Instagram live last night that I hate the fact that, unfortunately, some people contact me, they come and say, I trust you're well, like you're about to get married. Like, I've had people say that to me. Like, I know that everything's good with you because you're about to get married, like everything's good for you. And it's kind of like, actually,
it's quite stressful sometimes.
Yeah. And also the day that you proposed to me, obviously, like the in the morning before, I was on the phone to you for 2 hours crying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whilst you was whilst you was obviously now understanding you was running around.
Special day.
But
yeah,
I was crying. I had a serious breakdown even the day you proposed. I remember even when I told you I'm getting ready for the date night, I literally had the girls come, glam team come, like, you know, shout out Abigail, shout out Tenny, shout out Yema, like the ultimate, if you want to get glammed, those are my 3 girls, yeah? And they're good vibes. They made me I felt like crap that day. I remember they came and made me feel so good. I remember even one of the first things you asked me was like, am I okay? Because you had already known that I'd had such a hard day. Then it just, even when I got proposed to, it was the narrative of, oh my gosh, like there's a part of me that was so happy. But I'll never forget one of my closest friends who was there calling me saying, Hayley, something, even though I was so happy to see you getting engaged, like, are you okay? Because something was telling me that you're not okay.
Yeah.
And it just being like, wow, like so many people assume that, you know, my engagement was a beautiful time. Trust me, it was, by the way, babe. I'm so happy to be engaged to you. The engagement was beautiful, above and beyond what I could even imagine. But that period of my life,
it doesn't take away from other things going on,
that happened, you know what I mean, around that time. And just the processing, the dealing and dealing within myself and the different things shifting around me. And it's just, as I said, I just want to keep it real.
Yeah. People need models. They don't need perfection. They don't need people pretending to be perfect. Yeah. They just need examples.
Exactly.
In the good and in the bad.
Exactly.
That's the reality of it, because, you know, it's not going to be, we didn't have a perfect time dating. You know, there was arguments at different points. We needed to learn how to confront each other on different issues and whatever. If we never saw an example of that, or if we never had someone to speak to on how to communicate certain things or whatever, we wouldn't have known how to navigate. We probably would have done it wrong. Being engaged, whole different type of stuff. planning a wedding, and then if we don't have people to speak to in that regard or models in that way, it might go wrong. Then married, then kids, then do you know what I'm saying? So we need models in life.
Definitely. And I'm really happy that I'm quite passionate about mentorship, and I'm happy that, that's something that you encourage me to even seek out, and that's even something that I know that you're pursuing more as well, like even though you have like Dr. Sharon and stuff, but I know that like you want more mentors and areas to learn. Same with me, like I'm always in a place where it's like, God, just give me people that I can learn from, people I can speak to, people that I can really connect with, but yeah, obviously about to round up with the Building You podcast. I wanted to ask quickly before you go, if there's 2 things that you can say to a younger Sterling, hold on. Me not finish. Sorry. Me not finish.
I was ready to get.
I need to get ready for my Jamaican accent since I'm getting married to a Jamaican family. Me not finish Sterling record. I can't wait for them to come say Mrs. Record. Anyways, if people would know that I love putting on accents on this show, but my favorite accent is Jamaican accent. Hence why I'm marrying a Jamaican man. Anyways, babe, if you had 2 things that you could say to your younger self in the area, one thing in the area of personal development, and another thing in the area of, I would say, personal development for yourself, like in terms of a man. Right. Then number 2 in the area of like relationship, and not just not romantic relationship, but even platonic relationship, because I'm hoping that this podcast will not just have to apply to romantic relationship, but hopefully people can listen to this podcast, man, them, women, and be able to understand. Hold on. Let me go. I'm ready. Let me go. Hold on. I just want to talk to the people now. I'm just saying. So you guys, I'm a speaker. I'm a speaker, babe. Hold on. All I want is that I want people to listen to this podcast episode and them to be able to take certain things and apply it to their friendships and their mentorships and their parenthood. Anyway, let me just shut up, innit? Go on, baby.
I was talking to Mandem on Wednesday. Certain guys come to my house. I was telling them that we as men are never taught how to have good boundaries with females in a general sense, right? So you'll call someone your female friend, but you're up on the phone to them 1, 2 a.m. when you're falling asleep. Don't even remember what you said when you wake up the next day. And you might have said something that's opened up their heart to something you didn't even mean to do. We're not taught very good boundaries in that respect. So when it comes to relationships, I think I caused a lot of people pain when I was younger because I didn't understand boundaries. And if someone had taught me that, or if I had learned about that when I was younger, I think I would have protected myself from a lot of pain, because I opened myself up to a lot of people I really shouldn't have, but also protected the other person from the pain that I was carrying as well. Yeah, that's something I would teach my younger self about boundaries. Don't open your heart up to someone just because they're there. You know what I mean? Have times, have restrictions. Put like for example, if you want to protect a garden or something, you have fences. Come on, you have things around it. You have things in place that protect the value that's inside. Be someone like that. Don't be a boundaryless person.
And we have, and I think we would have to have another podcast episode on this, because we have boundaries with that we've discussed in terms of the opposite sex. So in terms of like, I had certain male friends that I was really close to. We had a conversation just kind of like, no more male besties. I had a lot of male best friends before I got into a relationship with you. And I can't wait to have these type of conversations, because it's like, it was just kind of like, no other man can be my best friend and someone other than my future husband.
Amen.
It's the reality, because I would hate the idea of someone who I'm close to as a man to come and correct you on how to treat me on what I like best. I would never let that happen. And if any guy does that, I put them in a place. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like that's not their job. That's your job as my man. Do you know what I mean? Vice versa. Any girl that tries to come and say, and a beautiful thing is, I was your female best friend before we got together. So there's no woman that's coming to me and telling me that Sterling likes this type of cake. Actually, I know exactly what type of red velvet cake you like best. People might come and say you like red. I know which one you like best. And I'm not going to say it out here. No, I'm not going to fight some. And I'm not going to say it on here before some little girls
All right.
I'm joking. Yeah, boundaries are really important. Okay, number 2 for relationship.
Personal development, not relationship. First one was for relationship.
No, the first one was for manhood. Like for men.
You said personal development and relationships.
Yeah.
That was one for relationships. So
now
personal development, right?
No, I meant personal. Like, if you was to give yourself piece of advice in the area of personal development for manhood and then one for relationship, but it's okay. You can just do one for.
Okay, so which one was that one for?
I don't know.
Which one do you want to put in?
You said for men,
okay.
So
all right, cool. I'll just.
How about relationships? How about
yeah? The other one I was gonna say was just to it's probably just to deal with my daddy issues earlier.
Damn.
If I'm being honest.
Daddy issues.
For me,
you said you was gonna be there, but where?
I used to listen to that song a lot, you know.
Same. Said you never leave me, soon to come home, but where are you now?
Yeah, I think for me, not having a dad meant a lot of things. It meant I didn't have. For me, it equated to not having a voice in my life that told me I was high value. And I think a lot of people have that problem. Men normally come with an authoritative voice, meaning what they say goes. Meaning if they say you are good, you therefore are good. If they say you are bad, you are bad. If they say you're going to get 10 beats when you get home, it's done.
You're getting 20 beats.
You know what I mean? They come with that authoritative voice. A lot of people grow up not having that, and they find they don't really know their self-worth because they've still got this issue on the inside of them that's like, where was that voice when I needed it?
Yeah.
And I wish I had dealt with that sooner, because I would have avoided a lot of mistakes. I would have had a lot more opportunities in my life that I didn't even go for because I thought, probably ain't gonna get it. And there's a lot of men that deal with this and they'll just pretend like they don't. They come like, no, I got it all. They don't have it all together. Their pride does not mean they don't have lack of confidence. Their pride is fake. You know what I mean?
I hear you.
And underneath all of that, there's this little boy who's crying out like, why did my dad love me? Type thing. And it's like, if you just deal with that, then you can just come in with confidence. You don't have to say nothing. Your aura just speaks for itself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I wish I had dealt with that sooner, because I would have just walked differently. I would have just moved differently. Around everyone. And it just, you just feel better when you feel confident, when you know who you are. And I think that's what a lot of people are longing for. Just to feel a bit more confident, just to feel like they got control over their life. Deal with your daddy issues, man. It will help you get there.
Boy, that's some real talk, and I can literally echo so many different things, but because of time, we're gonna have to wrap up. But I just want to say, babe, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast.
No
You're
problem.
my first ever guest. You probably. Knowing me, knowing us anyway, I probably will have a podcast studio actually in our house or whatever. Probably would.
Thank you for doing this podcast.
Hello,
thank you for inspiring so many people all across the world. What DM from South Africa today? Is that what you're telling me on the ride here? Yeah.
Babe, don't gas me. But yeah, I just want to say thank you to every single person that has tuned in to support. I want to know your thoughts, so feel free to comment when it comes to this is YouTube, so feel free to comment if you are watching on YouTube, and if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please leave a review, rate it 5 stars. Feel free to get in touch with the Building You community. We're reviving it on Slack, so go to www.Hayley Mulenda, so HayleyMulenda.com/podcast. If not, DM me on Instagram or Twitter. I'm literally Hayley Mulenda everywhere. HayleyMulenda. Please follow, get in touch, tell a friend to tell a friend. The Building You podcast is back, and if you really like this podcast, share it with a friend who you think would benefit from it.
That's right.
And babe, want to introduce yourself, but where can they find you, basically?
Instagram at Sterling Record. Don't need to do it. Oh, okay. STERLINGRECORD.
Yeah, a lot of people get shocked. His name is actually Sterling Records. Like, people always name. His government name is actually Sterling Record. Like, people think it's a joke sometimes, but his name's actually Sterling.
Yeah, if you want to connect with me, that's probably the best place. Also, TikTok at Youngstar. You know.
Yeah. So guys, as I said, thank you so much. God bless you. And obviously you guys already know, before we end, we always pray. So babe, do you want to lead a prayer, just to pray into anyone that could be dealing with just any insecurities or daddy issues.
Cool.
And
Father, we just thank you for whoever is listening to this. We thank you that they're open to receiving. And Father, we just ask right now that whatever insecurities, maybe it's daddy issues, maybe there's someone who never thought they would get married or never thought they'll be able to find love, or maybe they're a man that's dealing with who has been fake for so many years and he's got a gap in his life. Whatever the scenario is, we know that you're a God who can meet them right where they are and fix it and fill the gap and fill the hole. So Father, we ask that right now you'll start a journey with them, a healing journey to become the best version of themselves that they can be. We pray right now that you will show them your love so that they can be filled with that, know what love is, and be able to love other people around them. In Jesus' name, amen.
Guys, we love you and hope to see you for the next episode. As I said, there's going to be more future guests to come on. Keep tuning in every single week. We are back, baby. As I said, Building You Podcast.